We're looking at a major change to WrestleMania 38 plans today. Plus, Cody Rhodes has broke his silence after his AEW departure, and former WWE stars are launching a new wrestling promotion. We'll get to it in the wrestling news shortly. WrestleMania, fast approaching. Stupidly fast approaching.
Seems like 2 minutes ago since last year's WrestleMania, Tom.
It feels like at least a year, maybe more.
Yeah.
It's we've spent this week talking about people who could be rocking up at WrestleMania. Your Stone Cold Steve Austins, your Cody Rhodeses, more on him in a bit. But let's bring it back to basics, like proper matches booked for WrestleMania already, and possibly a major change to one of them. Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer, looking ahead to WrestleMania, says, I was told twists and turns are coming for WrestleMania. I know there is a push now to do title versus title, which would mean Brock wins the Elimination Chamber and Roman beats Goldberg. The whole idea of Mania has been to maximize Reigns and maximize Lesnar and make them the two biggest stars. I mean, that's a given, that part, but we've kind of gone back to this idea that was sort of toyed with back in January after day one when Brock won the title after all the nonsense that went down there, that the WWE might just go title for title in the main event again.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm personally very excited about that.
Really?
Yeah, really? Because
why so, pray tell?
I'm not so excited about this because it doesn't need title for title, does it? These two are already the two biggest stars, I think, in WWE. You don't need to maximise that even more by putting the belt on Brock Lesnar and then making it title for title. You would take the moment away from so many other people that could have fantastic matches at WrestleMania 2 with the belt on the line. And that's just my reasoning. And then, of course, obviously, when someone gets beat, someone's got both belts, and that's it. And then what are we going to do with the roster and stuff? Are we just going to get people coming backwards and forwards from SmackDown or Raw or whatnot? Are we going to put all of the roster together once again and form them all together, not have a draft next year? I don't really know, but I just don't.
We're losing wrestlers at an alarming rate.
We are losing wrestlers at an alarming rate, so that could potentially happen. It
could go that way. I mean, there's a lot that points to this being the best thing for business at WrestleMania. We've spoken before that plans for the WWE title aren't solid at this point. They don't quite know what they're going to do with the WWE title at WrestleMania as far as we know. Bobby Lashley being in the mix with somebody. I mean, late last year there were talks of Bobby and Big E, which I think seems very unlikely now. I don't think Drew McIntyre, so he's on SmackDown, so he's not in a position to do anything for it. Bobby and AJ Styles is a potential as a match there, but they may just lean into the idea of going, you know what, whilst we don't have any concrete plans for the WWE title, let's put the WWE title in the main event with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar.
What I am hoping is, if this is it, if they're putting all their eggs in one basket for this match, I really genuinely do hope now
that it's a thick basket.
That if it's a very thick basket that can hold some beefy boys. No, I really do hope now that we genuinely start building people legitimately as well, like a Big E or a Bobby Lashley properly. Don't just give them the belts and take them away from them. Actually start building them up, and then they will become such huge stars when they win both belts, say, from the person whoever comes out of WrestleMania with them both.
You mentioned about like breaking down the draft, the draft split and stuff, and going back to one roster. I don't think they'll do that, and I'm thinking very far ahead here. I think we could potentially see a situation with Roman Reigns winning both the WWE, having both WWE and Universal Championships, and being a traveling champion. He already gets booked on Raw shows in dark main events because he's a draw, you know, and he's proved. He's got a T-shirt that says everything. It says already he's a needle mover. He's a needle. He's like needle. He's a needle. He's like the top salesman at haberdashery. He's a needle mover, and I think there's something in having him going back between Raw and SmackDown.
I can see that actually
as the guy, you know, maximise everything. I know the USA Network would be delighted to have Roman Reigns popping up on Raw on a regular basis.
I think you might have nailed it on the head there.
I nailed it right on the head with the leader. They're in Saudi Arabia tonight ahead of Elimination Chamber tomorrow. There's been parties and celebrations since they got there, according to PW Insider. They had a big banquet to welcome them to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They all got gifts. There was dancing. Reports that Goldberg was getting into the dancing. Pictures already doing that, mate.
I'd love to see that.
PW Insider also reports that everyone working the event has been informed masks are required at all times, and also social distancing is back in place as well, because that's still the norm in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So everyone is adhering to the COVID rules still in place in Saudi Arabia. This is interesting. PW Insider saying, we were told those who had been to Jeddah previously have noticed a big change in it from the early WWE trips. One describing the city as more gentrified and that it looks more like a city from the West/United States than ever before, minus public drinking and bars. One talent noted that since they've arrived, everyone locally has bent over backwards for the WWE contingent.
Wow.
So there seems that, I mean, there is a keen push for Saudi Arabia for gentrification in Saudi Arabia, it seems.
Yeah.
Among other things as well. So maybe it's having an effect. Maybe it's having
Could be.
Well, Saudi Arabia hosts Elimination Chamber tomorrow night. Predictions online now, as well as live reactions tomorrow, and what happened at, and WTF moments, and a whole bunch of other stuff as well via our YouTube channel. Whoa. Let's talk Cody Rhodes. We haven't done that for a while.
Something Cody Rhodes.
Adrenaline in my soul. Cody's dog eats from a bowl.
Whoa!
Thanks. Cody's been on Twitter. It's the first time he spoke since he left AEW.
Yeah.
And a fan reached out and said, I'm not going to watch Dynamite anymore. As far as I'm concerned, Cody is the face of AEW to them. What did Cody say in response, Andrew?
Cody said, I'd encourage you still to watch it. I was very lucky that my hard work led me to be that face, but I wasn't alone. Nick, Matt, Kenny, Chicken, Jericho, MJF, Hang were all as well. And all the new girls and guys putting in a shift now as well. Wrestling is thriving. And I think this is just a good way, a very good, classy way of doing it. Perhaps, things might have got blown out of proportion and whatnot when we've heard reports of things that have happened backstage, but I think Cody's being very classy about this, and also I think it's good sometimes not to burn your bridges. If bridges don't need to be burnt, he can easily, I think, go back there whenever he so does fancy, but I think he's just got other things on his mind right now.
I can see Cody popping back up in AEW somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
Once the WWE thing has happened.
Yes. Yeah.
Which probably is. It probably is. And it'll be a moment when he walks out at WrestleMania.
I think it's going to be huge, isn't it?
When The Rock has won both titles.
Yeah.
And then suddenly we hear, whoa!
It will be such a huge moment. And do you know what? I couldn't think of anybody. You could have thought of someone perhaps like Chris Jericho or something, because he's got such huge ties and connections to WWE as well, and as does Cody too, but someone as big as Cody who put all of his stock into this company, then to come back to the rival company, that is going to be a huge moment in wrestling history.
It would be a big thing for Cody, who's basically telling his own story at the moment. You could say he's controlling his narrative.
Whoa, segue, if I've ever seen one.
Thank you. You barely saw it. It flew past. EC3 and Adam Scherr went onto Twitter and announced that CYN is a wrestling promotion they are starting, with a TV deal imminently being announced. So they also announced, along with the creation of CYN, 2 dates, March the 5th in Florida and one at the end of next month in Dallas. So in Dallas, they're planning this TV special, which will be, presumably will be like the first episode of whatever their show ends up being.
Yeah.
But they're running a show on March the 5th in Florida as well as EC3 and Adam Scherr. We're going to see Matt Cardona, the reigning NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. It feels nice to say that. Moose, the Impact World Champion, is going to be a part of it. We'll see Matt Taven, Weston Blake, Marina Shafir, Matt Seidel also there as well. But added to the March 31st date, this TV taping that they're doing in Dallas, Killer Cross.
It's Cross. He's Killer Cross. There we go.
Killer. It doesn't scan as well, does it?
It doesn't. I'm intrigued to see how this one goes, Tom. I've seen some of the Free the Narrative stuff before, and some of it for me works, and some of it for me doesn't work. Sometimes it adds to the wrestling, and sometimes I think it takes away from the wrestling. But that's just the format of it. I think there's definitely room for improvement there. But with what they've done so far, I think they've done a pretty good job. So I'm wondering how this is going to go. I wonder if it's very much in that same style as the Free the Narrative stuff, or we're going to get a little bit more sort of traditional style wrestling there as well.
Take some time this weekend to dive into the mind of EC3. He joined Ross on Straight to Hell a short while ago, and it's a really interesting discussion. EC3, a very intense man, but obviously very knowledgeable on the world of the wrestling, and that's on the YouTube channel Straight to Hell. Ross and his very special guest EC3. More wrestling news throughout the day at cultaholic.com, and until later on, keys.
I love you. Bye.